back tracer today to help us with our routine today. We're going to change it a little bit differently. First, we're going to breathe as we normally do, and then you start moving those legs a little bit. Deep inhale, just to calm that body down, keeping it nice and relaxed. Let's do our final 3. Big deep inhale, opening up that chest. And exhale out. Shoulders staying open and wide still. Last 2 in. And exhale. And last 1. Deep inhale. And exhale. And we'll start by opening up our feet nice and wide. Want to have those feet parallel to each other, so don't want to have turn out in the hips. So we've still got the hips facing forward, there's nothing turning out in those hips. So we do a similar stretching, but we now, with those wider hips, we can get a bit more out of the left side. Left arm goes high, and we tip over to the right. Arm hangs nice and loose, so we aim to open up those hips, but you might feel a bit of a stretch in the legs as well, just to warm them up a bit, get a bit of that. Reach 2, 1, and up. Lower the left arm, right arm goes high, and we tip over to the left, opening up that side, feel that pull, left arm dangling nice and heavy, out of that side, 2, 1, standing up tall, lower the right, open those feet up a little bit more wide, good, left arm once again up to the ceiling, and we fall over to the right side, opening up those ribs, weight stays onto that right side, 3, 2, 1, and up. And switching arms over, right arm to the ceiling, tipping over to the left, nice and heavy, falling over, left arm hanging nice and loose, 3, 2, 1, and slowly up, lower the arm, last 1, open those feet a little bit wider, get a bit of a pull inside those thighs, left arm nice and high, and we fall over to the right, opening up those ribs, feel pulling from the base of that shoulder blade, feel that pull, for 4, 3, 2, 1, and stand up tall, lower the left arm, right arm is high, and we tip over to the left, feel that pull, opening up those ribs, for 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly up, lower that arm down. Now keeping the legs in that last position, we're going to roll forward now. There is a tendency for the body to push those hips to the back. Balance might be a bit of an issue, but shouldn't be. We're going to roll down all the way, deep inhale. Tuck that chin, curving forward, rolling our body ahead of those hips. And these can also soften a little bit, but we're still going to feel a bit of a stretch inside those thighs, a bit more over that back. Keep the weight in front, 2, 1, and slowly restacking up. So now with those legs getting wider, back of the body has to work a little bit differently to get us up. Shoulders staying open at the end. And again, tuck the chin, curving forward. No weight, always, as always, into the toes. Don't fall over those, so really still keep that balance nice and stable. 2, 1, and slowly again, pulling from the base of the spine, shoulders staying out of it, restacking all the way up, chin stays in till the very end. 3 to go, and we tuck the chin, rolling forward, with the weight being supported on the side. Might get a bit more of a stretch inside those legs, keep those knees slightly softened. Keep the weight, 2, 1, and slowly restacking up. Chin stays until the very end, nice and tall. Last 2, deep inhale and tuck the chin, rolling forward. Weight gets in front of those hips, hanging into the toes. For 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly restacking up all the way. Shoulders staying back and loose at the top. Last 1, tuck the chin, curving forward, keeping the weight nice and heavy, hanging loose into those arms. Weight stays in front for 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm keeping at the bottom. Both arms are going to reach for that left ankle or the left shin. Now we're going to straighten those legs, both of them. Getting that pull. We might feel a bit more pull on that left side a bit more. Both legs might feel quite a good stretch. Getting a bit more, and soften those knees, go back to center, grab the other shin, and straighten both legs, trying to get that pull a bit more over that left or the right, left side of the back, as we pull in from that hip bone a bit more, 2, 1, and bend both legs, grab the other side, and then straighten both legs, keeping that pull, keeping that weight still in the toes a little bit more, not just the heels, 2, 1, and bend, going over to the right, keeping the weight nice and balanced, straightening both legs, keep that in 3, 2, 1, and bend those knees slightly. One arm grabs each leg, so left hand grabs left leg, right arm grabs left leg, and straighten both. Then you're going to pull over the lower back as well now, through that spine. 3, 2, 1, bend both legs, and straighten both. Get that pull. 2, 1, and bend. And last one, straighten both legs, keep that pull for 4, 3, 2, 1, and bend both legs. Let go of the legs, and slowly restack up, nice and tall, all the way. Very good. Bring our feet together. We're going to go onto all fours. Good. Hands under the shoulders. We're going to start stretching out our feet a little bit and our spines. First, we're going to have our toes dug in. Press those hips back a little bit. Stretch those feet. So we push our hips back like we're trying to sit onto the haunches. You can bring your hands closer towards your knees and push that floor a little bit down so that you have a bit more weight going into the toes. If it hurts too much on the knees, don't go into this deep stretch, but still get the weight onto the toes, flexing them, stretching the bottom of those feet. A little bit of pressure with those arms. 2, 1. Now we're going to switch up the feet position, so move the weight forward towards the hands again. Flatten the feet down. So we're undigging those toes, and now we sit back on them again. If the feet are tight in this position as well, don't go too much, a lot of weight on them. Keep a little weight towards the knees, but do feel like you're trying to flatten that foot, stretching out the top. Keep it there for 4, 3, 2, 1, and shift the weight forward, changing foot position once again, dig those toes in, and press the weight back into those haunches, flexing the bottom of those feet. Bit of weight pressing with those arms, so I feel like a bit more pressure being put into those toes. 3, 2, 1, lean a little bit forward, flatten those feet again, and sit back on them, a little bit of body weight, doing work, don't rush it, don't get too much, feet might not like it at first, give them a chance to kind of settle in that stretch. 2, 1, shift the weight forward, last one each way, dig those toes in, and now really getting a little bit more pressure into the toes, keeping those ankles square, so you don't want to feel like the ankles are falling out to the side, they stay nicely in line with those toes. Pressure's right through the base of that foot. 2, 1, leaning forward, last position, flatten those feet, and pressing back, keeping that pressure into those toes. Nice bit of weight from those hands, pressing in through as well. For 4, 3, 2, 1, and shift the weight forward, getting to all fours. Walk those hands so that they're under the shoulders. I'm going to work a bit into these hips now. So hips are nicely above the knees, supporting ourselves with the arms. Chin is nicely pulled in, length out of the neck. Left or right, let's go with the right leg. Right leg is going to stay in this bend position, and we're going to extend it out and extend it and straighten out. Digging those toes in, so a bit of force, and you want to have the back of this leg working and back in. Just stabilizing again and press. So we're getting a bit of activation here. Don't feel like you're just working your quad here. You don't want to feel like the quad's just doing all the extension for us. You want to feel like the hamstring, specifically the glute, is getting an extension out there. When we bring it back, this hamstring contracts, drawing that leg in. Same leg still. Extend that right leg out and nicely in. And extend, reach that leg out. Good movement from that hip and back in. And extend, pressing, feeling that glute activate, squeezing at the end to make sure we got the work we needed, and bending in. And extend, pressing out, squeezing these glutes together, and back in. And extend, reaching out, get that lock of that glute into that hip, and back in. And pressing out, long extension out that leg, and in. Good work. And pressing that leg away, and back. Last 3, and extend, and back, 2 left, and reach that leg out behind, and in, last 1, and extend. Keep that leg long, still supporting yourself, or body weight over those hands and wrists. Lift that leg just off the floor, point that foot, so you're working into that calf, and lower down, and lifting up, so you're working a little bit more in the back of the hip now, and lower down. It's almost like a giant boom, just lifting it up and lower down. And lift, work from the hip. Bit of weight on that right shoulder as well, keeping that chin tight. Lower down. Last 5, up and slowly down, lowering from the hip and lift. And lower, 3 on its way, lifting up and lower, 2 to go and lift and drop and 1 left, lifting up. Now keep that leg up. We're going to work a little bit more into this hip now. Keep that hip and pelvis as it is, a bit of coordination now. Bend this leg. So keep that leg straight for me. And now we bend that leg, knee doesn't drop. And straight. So now it's a bit of coordination, getting the glute to work with that hamstring at the same time and bend. Good. And straighten. Now there might be a tendency as we bend this leg, as the body figures out, as we bend this, that the knee wants to go down. But I keep that knee up kind of where it started and straighten that leg out. And bend. Now you'll see Tracy's hips aren't affecting her spine position, so nothing's curving there. It's staying all nice and stable. And bend that leg in. And straightening out. A lot of work for that hamstring, but also that glute, keeping that leg up. And extend it out. Keep it going, last 5, bending in and in, 4 left and in and out, 3 left and in and extend, last 2, back, bend and out and last 1 and bend and straighten. Good, now we're going to get quite a large range in this leg. So this leg's going to bend, knees going down, but then it's going to not stop and it's going to come to the chest and then we kick it out, back. Good, so bring that knee in towards the torso and extend out. So nice long pendulum action under that hip. If the knee at the bottom skims the ground, that's fine. Just that we don't feel like we're piking that right hip up too much just to make room for that leg. And extend out. Leg doesn't get to rest in between them, it stays up. Pressing out, still keeping the balance nicely over the hips and shoulders, and extend that leg out and back in. Good work through. So again, that full range of the glute, quad activates in the front, stretching out the back, and then we extend that leg out, almost striking behind us. Feel like you are doing it with purpose. And last 4, bring that leg in, nice and smooth through it. 3 and back in. Last 2, press. And back in, and 1 to go. Press, keep that leg long. 3, 2, 1. Knee comes in under the hip. Very good. Same thing. Do the opposite side. There you'll see Tracy still kept a good position in her shoulders. Didn't drop that spine down. Head was contracted. Chin was nicely in. Left leg's turn and extend out, digging those toes. So really starting to get the activation. Back of that hip. Quad works at the front. When we bring it back in, get that hamstring to pull. Knee stays under the hip. Rest on the floor. So almost like a reset. We press that leg back, good leg through the hip, hamstring working, and bend that knee back in under the hip, and pressing out, long extension out the hip, and back in, and pressing out the hip, good leg out the hip, and in, and extend that leg out behind you, and back in, good work, and press, and in, good work through it. And extend that leg out that hip and back in, good, and press that leg out of that hip behind us and in and extend out and back in. So good solid activation, but nothing gets to change in that pelvis. Bring that leg out behind you and draw it in under the hip. And last 4, extend back in, 3 left, extend that leg out, good leg out the leg. And back, 2 left, still pushing that chest away, nothing drops in that spine, and in, last 1, and extend that left leg out, keeping it there, 3, 2, 1, now lifting that leg off, pointing that foot, good, and lower down. So this leg becomes a giant solid piece of steel, just lifting up, nothing gets to kink at the knee, it's all just a one long leg, lifting from that hip, and lower down, and lift. And drop. See if the pelvis hasn't changed. So this isn't sliding across or just getting heavier than lighter. This stays nice and balanced and lifting up. Moving just from the back of the hip. Still pressing the chest out and lower down. Lifting off and lower. Nice and smooth. Clean lift through that hip. Lift and lower. Good work. And lifting up and lower down. Last 3. Up and lower. 2 left. lift, and lower down, last one, and lifting up, keep that knee up, 3, 2, 1, you're going to start bending at this knee now, foot comes back up, knee doesn't drop, very nicely, and straighten that leg up, quad activating as we, a little bit lower for me, we don't want to go too high that anything starts to change in the back, bending that knee, and extend straight, good, bend, and extend out, pressing out that torso, keeping those shoulder blades against the rib cage, and straighten out, bending in, using that hamstring, glute holding on as well, and extend that leg, and really feel like it's a push away, not just a flopping of the leg, and straighten out, getting that activation in that thigh, and straighten that leg out, bending in, keeping those hips nice and solidly square, straighten away, and back. Let's do 4 more, press, and bending in, get that hamstring contraction, and 3, pressing out, and back in, 2 to go, extend, and in, and last one, and straighten that leg out, keep it there, 3, 2, 1, now bring that knee in past, under the hip, forward, towards that chest, good, leg kind of floats up the whole time, skims the ground as it goes through, a nice pendulum motion, leg comes towards the chest, and extend out, and leg comes in, under that hip, and pressing out, still pushing out that torso with those arms, leg comes in, and extend away, and leg is in, and out, very nice, do it, and in, and extend, and back in under the hip, and straighten, and extend, and pressing away from the hip, good, knee comes to chest, 4 to go, and pressing out, back in under the hip, pressing out the torso, 3 to go, extend, and back, and last 2, straighten, and in, and 1, press that leg out behind us, bring it to the chest, we'll finish on the extension behind us, reach that leg behind you, everything is nice and square, lower that knee to the ground, next to the other knee, good, still pushing out that torso, there's a lot of work for the shoulders there, but we did well, let's dig those toes into the floor, good, now we're going to lift our knees up, but we can do it a little bit differently now, normally we lift our knees straight up vertically towards the ceiling, we're going to lift up now and actually push and try and straighten our arms, so that a lot of weight is on the toes, but our knees are still off, so kind of a rest position extension as our knees are off the ground, deep inhale, lift those knees off, and push those hips back so that they go almost over, yes, going forward, and lower down. Good, so we're doing a little bit of warm up now. We'll be a little bit more quad that we're going to have to activate there. Still a lot of work as we lift up, abs holding on with those chests, or the chest as well. I want to feel like the shoulders are still gliding in against those rib cage. Deep inhale, lift the knees up, push those hips back towards the feet, and going forward, and lower down. If the knees feel uncomfortable, don't go as deep into it, and rather start with your hands forward. I'll quickly show you what that kind of looks like. So if Tracy's hands go a lot more forward, you'll see they're not under her shoulders now. So when she lifts up, if there needs anything in the knee, lift up, move those hips slightly back, not too far, and back in, and lower down. So we get the work still from the shoulders, but we're not pushing this heavy flexion on the knee. Bring those arms again under the shoulders. Let's carry on a couple more warm-ups. Deep inhale, lifting up, and press those hips back, and forward, and lower those knees down. Good, a lot of work for the shoulders and the legs, and lifting up, move the weight back towards the feet, and roll forward, and lower those knees down. We've got 2 more left here, lifting up, press the weight back towards the feet, forward, and lower down. Last one, lift, and back, forward, and lower those knees down. Very good. Now we do the same thing, but we're not going to drop our knees in between. So it's going to be lift up, go back, a couple of reps. Try not to rush, especially as the body gets tired, to get quicker and quicker, and then the speed builds. We want to keep that nice, firm momentum as we go back and forward, so that there's proper activation as you're pressing away and drawing yourself in. Deep inhale, lift those knees up, press those hips back, and forward again, starting position. Don't drop those knees, pressing back, and moving forward. 3 to go, press back, and forward, last 2, and back, and forward. Let's do our last one, pressing back, forward, and lower down. Very good. A lot of work for the knees, also for those quads out of that torso, abs holding on. We've got 2 more sets left. Deep inhale, lifting up those knees, and let's press it back. 5, and forward. Going back, 4, and forward. Very nice. And 3, and forward. And nice. 2, and back. Last one, keep those knees off, pressing back, and forward, and lower the body down. Good. You'll see Tracy didn't collapse down. It was a nice lowering so that muscles can release as they deactivate, but we're still in control and in charge of what we're doing. Last set, deep inhale and lifting those knees up and pressing back and roll the weight forward over those shoulders and back and extend. Good. Last 3, move the weight back and pressing through those legs, moving forward, 2 left, moving back, weights over the ankles and forward. Also stretching those toes a bit here and back and weight over the shoulders or over the wrists and slowly lowering down all the way. Good. Now we want to get a bit of mobility through the arms as well. We're not going to take the arms forward, we're going to take the arms out to the side. Staying as we are now, arm goes out to the right. Good. Nice straight arm to begin with. A lot of weight on the shoulder here. As the weight is away from the center of the body, the muscles in the back need to work a little bit more. And then bring that arm in under the shoulder. Feet can be dug in or flat, whichever is more comfortable for you. Arm goes out to the side. Good. Doesn't have to get too high. You see, Tracy hasn't lifted her hand higher than the height of her body. It doesn't come too high up. Then we start to twist and rotate. Start pinching the neck just below the shoulder is fine for me. And bring that arm back in. Now, a lot of work or a lot of weight's going to be on that left shoulder. Right arm goes out. Left shoulder does a lot of work. Don't feel like we're cascading all our body weight across. Still want weight on that right knee. And bring that leg back in. And open up that right arm to the side. And back in under that shoulder. And again, open up. And back in. And open to the side. And back. So nice opening of that shoulder. And back in. Last 4. Open and back in, 3 left, open to the side and back and 2 up. Nice stability in the hip still and back in, and last one, open that arm up to the side. 2. Now we're going to keep that arm there. We're going to get a bit of mobility now. Now this is a lot of shoulder work for the left side still while we're mobilizing this. Keeping that palm facing down, this arm's going to move forward. Now you'll see nothing gets into the neck, nothing activates too high. Then we go all the way back, next to the hip, keeping that palm facing forward, so a lot has to work in the shoulder. Keeping the same height, palm facing down. I don't want to see snake action as we get to the other position, almost like you're washing a giant window. Arm just glides across and open down. And arm goes forward. So a lot of mobility through that shoulder. And moving it back towards the hip. And to the top again. Let's go back on 4 and up, good, and back and up again. Nice one. The hands gonna get tired, shoulders gonna work, and back and to the top again. A last one, and moving it back towards the hip. Arm goes out to a T position, and bring that hand in under the shoulder. Very nice. A lot of work for that shoulder that we were left resting on, also on that right knee, so the weight wasn't just left based, it was still evenly across the right hip. Same thing now, we're just going to start with that left arm goes out to the side in that T position. Not too much shifting of body weight, want to keep it nice and balanced on that left knee now and that right shoulder. Arm comes back in under that blade, yes, and arm goes out to the side. And we're sucking it back in under that shoulder. So nice extension from the back of that blade. Opening it to the side, and as we come in, that peg's going to draw it back in, but that shoulder blade doesn't get to the left. Don't go too much into the front of the neck either. Open to the side, and arm comes in under that shoulder. Very good, and opening up and back in, and open to the side and back and open up and in. Very nice, and open to the side, nice long drive out that blade. You see nothing's changing there. Arm comes back in, 4 on its way, open that arm to the side, and in, very good, and 3, and back, in, very good, 2, and open, and back in, last one, open to the side, keep that arm there, you're not going to wash this giant window, arm moves forward, staying out of those upper traps, and slowly curving it back, palm still facing down towards the floor, coming back, don't let it drop too much on the way there, or back and forward, good, so a nice long windmill action we can say, through that shoulder and arm, and moving it forward, lots of work still on that right shoulder, balancing over those hips, arm comes back, and arm goes forward, nice movement through it, and back, nice and smooth gliding, with that arm forward, and back, very good, and forward, let's do our last 4 here, and we take it back, and up, let's go back, good slide, good stability, and up, out of those hips, pushing that arm down, and back, and last one, up towards away from us, and then down next to the hip, and then back into that T position, and then bring that arm in under the shoulder. Very good. We're going to spin around now, we're going to sit down. Good, legs are extended out in front of us, arms are behind us. Good, we're going to work a bit through the back of the legs now, and a bit of the top of the hips to get a bit of activation. So we're going to keep those legs straight. We're going to push our heels into the floor, fingertips can face either to the side or away from you. We're going to lift both hips off the ground and lifting those hips up. Good. Nice and heavy on the feet. We don't want to go too high, so we want to imagine that we become a solid platform, and if we had to roll something down the front of the body, we would gladly go down, not have any kind of bobbles, and lower those hips down. When we do lower down as well, the same as when we lift up, don't feel like you're just shifting all the weight towards the feet. So specifically on the low down, feel like you're putting yourself towards your wrists as you're going down, so the weight is more back with the hips. It's not just all forward and you're kind of resting in those legs. And lifting up those hips, putting ourselves towards our hands. A lot of work in the back of those legs. Heels are pushing quite firmly into the ground, and we slowly lower down. Very nice. You'll see Tracy keeping most of her weight towards the shoulders so that we feel we're almost lengthening out those legs even longer on the way down. And lifting up. Keep the height, 3, 2, 1, and slowly down, pulling ourselves in. Very good. So nice, soft landing with those hips. Don't feel like we're just dropping down. Arms need to work. Don't lock the elbows down. And we're lifting those hips up. Heavy heels pressing out. 3, 2, 1, and slowly down. Nice work through it. And lifting those hips up. Heavy heels. Keep the height. Don't want to go too high. Also neck position, don't have it hanging too much down. Have it slightly in above the torso and lower down. Still opening up those blades and those shoulders. Let's do 4 more. And lifting up those hips. Keep that height. Holding on back of the leg, glute hamstring working. 3, 2, 1, and slowly lower down. We got our final 2. Lifting up. Get those hips high. 3, 2, 1, and lower down. And last 1, and lifting up those hips, keep that height for 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Good, so we've done a good warm up there now. We're going to increase the difficulty a little bit. Same position in the arms and the legs. Once we're up, one leg is going to lift off. Now with that, there's a lot of work on the back of that right leg. If your knee on the leg that stays on the floor is really feeling the work, don't lift up the other leg. It's going to be a lot, but your leg should be able to handle it, or keep it there for a lot less. We want to try and keep it there for about 3 seconds. So if it's too much on the knee itself, bend those knees a little bit and only go for about a second in the lift before we change. We're going to do both, or each leg one at a time, but both in the same lift. Deep inhale, lifting up those hips. First get that locking in stability position. One leg comes slightly off the floor. 3, 2, 1, lower down. Nothing has changed in those hips. They haven't slid or dropped either side. Left leg's turn, lift. 3, 2, 1, lower. And now lower down those hips, still pulling ourselves towards our wrists and towards our shoulders. Very good. So important there, as Tracy showed us, we don't want to have those hips sliding or dropping, specifically with a leg that lifts up. Deep inhale, lift those hips off. One leg up. 3, 2, 1, lower down. Other leg. 3, 2, 1, lower, lower those hips, still drawing yourself towards. If the wrists are feeling it, don't have that angle too sharp, keep them a little bit away from you so that the angle is less sharp on the wrists. And again, lifting up those hips, pressing those feet in, one leg comes off, 3, 2, 1, lower down, other leg, 3, 2, 1, lower, and lower both hips now. So the height of the foot when you lift it off is not important, as long as you lose that leg from stability, then your hips are going to do the work we want. Last 3, lifting up those hips, heavy in the feet, one leg up, 3, 2, 1, lower down, other leg, keep those hips good, 3, 2, 1, lower, and lower down, still pulling yourself towards your wrists. Last 2, deep inhale and lifting up, get those hips high, one leg comes off, 3, 2, 1, lower down, other leg, 3, 2, 1, lower, and slowly lowering down all the way. Last 1, and lifting up those hips, keep it there, one leg comes off, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower, other leg comes off, 3, 2, 1, and lower those hips down, and relax. Good. We're going to work a bit through our back now. Want to work a bit of an extension, so we're going to learn how to sit up nice and tall. This position in itself may be quite tough already. If you are feeling like it's already pulling quite a lot on the back, do bend those knees. We're going to have our legs open up to the side into a little bit of a V shape. Good. And just to stretch out the back a little bit and just to get a bit of activation, we're going to have our hands touching the ground in front of us. Good. Now the tendency here is to curve the spine, which we're going to do first. So keep the hand, don't have to reach too far, but if you feel you want to, we're not going just into a stretch now. We can do a bit of articulation as we curve that spine down. So if your knees are open, your hands are in front, we're going to tuck that chin, and we're going to curve that spine. Hands can go a little bit more ahead, but I want to create more of a curve in the spine, not so much a massive stretch out the back. If you can get lower, it's fine, but you are getting a curve in your spine. 2, 1, now in that curved position, we're going to start restacking that spine up, arms will come a little bit closer to us, and we'll untuck that chin at the very end. And let's do another one. Slowly keep the legs bent. If the hamstrings are too tight, deep inhale and tuck that chin, rolling forward. Arms can kind of glide, imagine they're on ice. So a bit of curvature in the spine. Hips don't get you roll forward. What that'll look like, as you can see Tracy giving us a nice curve, but she's not falling forward. So there's not this falling off the hips. The lower spine is still on top of that pelvis. And then as she restacks, she rebuilds it on top of those hips. Good. And again, hands on the ground, leaning a little bit forward, tuck the chin, curving forward, hands reach kind of a little bit ahead, curving chin stays tucked in. So there's a nice curved shape we're trying to silhouette with that spine, and slowly restacking up, opening up that chest. Let's do 3 more. Tucking that chin, rolling forward, hands sliding in front, keeping the weight ahead of the hips. 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly dragging up, restacking on those hips. 2 left, and we tuck the chin, going forward, really getting that curve in the spine. Legs don't have to be massively open, but just wide enough that you get maybe a bit of a pull and a bit of an opening, so there's space for your body to fall between, and restacking up. Good. And last one, and we tuck the chin, rolling forward, curving in front, weight stays ahead of those hips, hanging into it for 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly restacking up. Keep the feet kind of mat width apart. We're going to take our arms open to the side. We're going to turn those palms up towards the ceiling. Now we're going to get a bit of rotation through the spine. The legs are going to give us a guidance if we're going too far. We're first going to do, let's say, to the left. So we rotate the top of our torso. How do we know if we've rotated too far? Is that the body's going to get shorter on one leg. So if Tracy overextends, her left hip is going to start retracting a little bit. You see this leg gets shorter now. That leg is now longer than the other. Then we know we're twisting too much, so we're starting to change the lower part of our spine. So that leg goes forward. So if she rotates back to center and goes to the right, don't go too far there. Move that leg back a little bit for me. That's it. We want to keep that square. So you'll see Tracy's angle is not excessive. It's not like she's looking perpendicular to her hips now. It's kind of a 30-degree angle from her center point. That's the rotation you want to keep. We want to keep those palms facing up so we can get the shoulder blade right against that chest or right against that rib cage. So I want to feel like it's all up in the neck and back to center. Going over to the left. Might be tough. Again, bend those knees if those hamstrings and the lower back is too tight. back to center. If it's really tough, really feel like you're sitting up tall. That's going to be the work you're going to try and create, not about the legs here. And we rotate, midsection, obliques working. 2, 1, and back to center. And over to the left. And back to the middle. Very nice. And last one, over to the right. And back to center. Your arms may feel a bit of work here as well. Now we're going to get a bit of motion in it. Now there's going to be a double pump on each side. The first pump goes a certain distance, and then the second one, we go a little bit further. Not going to throw our bodies into position. We rotate 1, we stay in a small zone, so you don't bounce straight back to the center. You kind of stay in that area. So we go left in the 2 pumps, 2, 1, and center. It's almost like a recoil action. Now we go to the right, 1, 2, and center. So the first one you reach, you kind of go a little bit further, then back to center, 2, 1, and middle. Over to the right, 2, 1, center. Very nice. And the small movement from those midsections and those ribs, and over to the right. Good. Arms are still palms facing up. Over to the left, 2, 1, and center. Over to the right, 2, 1, and center. If it's tight, no hamstring, keep those knees bent. 2, 1, middle, and to the right, 2, 1, and center. Last 2, 2, 1, center. Over to the right, 2, 1, center. Last one, 2, 1, center. Last one, 2, 1, middle, and bring those arms to center and lower them down. We're going to open up those legs a little bit wider, so a little bit wider than the hips and wider than the mat. We're going to keep that nice and relaxed. We're going to extend our arms in front of us. Now we're going to get a bit of all that we've done together in one sort of fluid motion here. Going to be a little bit of extension, a little bit of flexion, a little bit of rotation. So we're going to rotate towards our left leg. At the same time we pause there. This left arm goes behind us. So a bit of extension through the back of the shoulder. We lean forward, touching or trying to reach for the left foot with this right arm. Now you'll see there's a lot of work going on. We've got a rotation, we've got flexion in the spine. If we're tight, we're going to bend those knees. Don't have to tuck the foot anywhere from the knee to the ankle. We want to be on the outer edge. So on the left leg, on the outer edge of the left, not in the inside. Now we keep that extension, but we don't just sit up now. We get a bit of an extension to the back. So still keeping the weight forward. Tracy's going to start extending that back up. You can see she's still at a forward angle. Nothing in the neck here, that arm. And then we sit up. And as we rotate to the center, we bring both arms back to the middle. And let's try the same thing to the right. First we rotate, move that right arm behind us. Thumb's going to face down, so palms facing still the same inside direction. We lean forward, curving that spine. Do it nice and slow as well. Don't feel like we're just falling forward. So you've tucked that chin in first. As you're curving, try to touch the outside of that right foot with the back of your left hand. Keeping that pull. It's a rotation, it's a stretch, 2, 1. Then restacking that spine, rebuilding it. But still leaning forward from the hips. Might be a lot for those hip flexors. Sitting up all the way on top of the hips. And then we rotate. Arm comes forward again. Arms are back in front of us. Over to the left. Left arm goes behind us. Then we tuck the chin, curve. Trying to reach for that left ankle with that right arm. Keep that reach. 3, 2, 1. Then we restack that spine in that little bit of a lean angled position. Sitting up tall then once we are there on top of those hips. And then bring that left arm forward, rotating back to the center. Very good. Twisting to the right. Right arm goes behind us. And leaning forward, tucking that chin. So not just from the hip, we're actually curving that spine as we did earlier as well. Keeping that curve and twist in the midsection. Then we restack in that angle. So rebuilding that spine. Once it's straight, then move the weight back so your torso is over your hips again. Twist to the center. Bring that arm to the middle. Very nice. Let's do 3 more each side. Twist to the left. Left arm goes back now that we've got the rhythm. Leaning forward. Keep it there. 3, 2, 1. Restack that spine in that angle. Then we sit back up tall and bring that left arm forward. Very good. Over to the right. Twist. Right arm goes back. Leaning forward. Left hand. Trying to get to the outer edge of the right leg. And restack the spine horizontally. Back to center. And then twist into the middle. Good. Over to the left. Left arm behind. Reaching for the outside. Keep that curl in that spine, chin is tucked. Breathing through this, don't want to tense. And then rebuild that spine at that angle. Shift the weight back so you're sitting on your hips. Bring that left arm forward. Good, over to the right. Right arm behind. Left hand curving that spine forward on the outside of the right leg. And then restack horizontally. Bring that arm back to the center. And back to the middle. Good, last one each way. Twist to the left. Left arm goes behind us. Tuck the chin, curving forward. Keep that reach, hamstring might be filling it. Feel that pull, also that lower back. Curve or restack that spine from that curved position. Shift the weight over the hips and bring that left leg or left arm in front. Last one, twisting to the right. Right arm goes behind and we're reaching forward, keeping our weight ahead of the hips. Now we restack that spine in that curved position. Restack on top of the hips and bring all the weight back to the center. Very good, lower those arms. Bring those legs together, bend those knees out to the side and have those feet touching each other. Good, so we're going to get the stretch a bit of our hips now. So there's a lot of work for those hip flexors, especially if we tie over the back now, we're just going to open it up. Bring those feet a little bit closer, holding onto the toes, don't have to force it. Now we're going to start a little bit of flapping with the knees, so we're sitting up nice and tall. We're just going to bounce those knees up and down. Now kind of the force or the work you want to get is when you're pushing down. So you kind of bounce them up, and then as gravity helps, you kind of just want to feel a bit inside and open up those hips, keeping them back nice and straight. Don't push too hard with the feet in together. We don't want to get too much in the inside of the thighs to work. And keep that going for 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the bounce. Let go of the feet. Get those arms in front of us onto the mat. So we're reaching forward a little bit further here just to stretch. Now you can curve that back. You're going to pull over that lower hip and the lower spine as well. 3, 2, 1. Sitting up tall again. Holding onto the feet. If you can, bring them a little bit closer. If you can't, it's not a problem. Now again, we're going to the flaps. Knees going bouncing down, opening up the hip, trying to sit up as tall as we can. If you feel you want to use your arms, but to keep your back straight, focus more on what the back's doing, not so much the arms. Get that bounce through those knees. Keep it there. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go of the legs, leaning forward a little bit. Keep the weight in front of those hips, hanging into it. Nice and heavy. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and sitting up nice and tall. Good. We're going to spin now. We're going to be onto our side, but on our hands, almost like we're a mermaid at the beach. Good. Knees are going to be together. Top leg, the top foot is going to be falling in front of the bottom leg. Just kind of next to each other, creating sort of an A shape or an A hollow between the arm and the ribs. We want to have a straight spine, so you want to feel like you're pushing that spine already up. You see Tracy's spine is now at an angle, it's not straight up. This arm is going to go up to the ceiling in nice angled key position, so not right above the head. We're going to be working the bottom oblique. So the bottom side of the body is going to be working. Key points here of failure, or where we need to really keep it a little bit of strength, will be in that shoulder. Feel like you're pushing the floor away, not that you're just resting in the shoulder. Let's go. We're going to lift this bottom hip up. Knees stay on the ground still, lifting up, creating that nice shape. Don't want that arm to go too high, so between that bottom arm and top arm, we create that nice streamline and lower those hips down. Now you're going to mind maybe run out of oxygen. Remember to breathe. We inhale before we begin. Nice deep inhale. And as we lift, we get that height. Bottom hip is up. Keeping no rotation, no roll forward or back. Nice work in the bottom oblique and lower down. Good, and let's go again. Deep inhale and exhale. Lifting up that bottom hip. Keep that extension out that arm. Pushing that floor away. A lot of work for the wrist and shoulder and lower down. Good, let's do our final 4. And exhale, lifting up. Keep it there. 3. Bottom oblique working. 2, 1, and lower. And 3 on its way. Still keeping those knees on the ground against each other. And we lift. Keep that height. Pressing that arm and shoulder away. 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Last 2 to go on this side, and we're lifting up. Keep those hips high for 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Last one's going to be a nice slow 5 count. Deep inhale, lifting up those hips, reaching that floor away. Keep it there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Very nice. Same thing. We're going to spin onto the other side, so you can rotate, spin around. Same position. We want to always start in a good position. It's easier to be in the right position, then move, than be incorrect. When you get up to the height, then trying to correct it a little bit harder. Knees on top of each other, top leg, foot in front of the bottom leg, that's our little platform. Hips touching the ground still, but pushing out of that left arm, out of that neck, shoulders and into the neck, pushing the floor away. Keep that pressure up the wrist as much as we can, and lift those hips up, creating that nice streamline in that arm, out of that shoulder. 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Nice slow descent, not just a flop. We're not just releasing completely, we're controlling that descent as well, and lifting up. Get those hips up, reaching that arm out. Keep it there for 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Nice work through the shoulder, and the bottom obliques lifting up, and we're working hard there, keeping that height. 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Nice work through it. And again, lifting up, pushing into the knees, out of that arm. Keep the height. 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Doing our last 3, we're lifting up. Keep the height. 3, reaching the arm away. 2, 1, and lower. 2 out the way. A lot of work in the shoulder and those obliques. And lift those hips up. 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Last one, gonna be a nice long 5 count, deep inhale, and lifting up those hips. Keep that reach away for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower those hips down, nice and relaxed. Very good. Then again onto our hands and knees once again. We're going to stretch out our quads a little bit. Now, if you need more padding under the knee, do put a towel or something soft, because it might quite hurt on that kneecap. We're going to bring that right leg in front of us. It's almost like we're walking. Good. Knee is not above the ankle. The foot is slightly more ahead of that knee. So when we start getting that bit of lunge forward, we don't want to have too much pull on the knee or that angle will be too sharp. We're going to lift our torso up. Hands are going to be on top of that front leg for that stability and balance. Left leg, foot is flat. If you like, you can have the toes dug in, but ideally not. We don't want that. That's a less comfortable position. We're going to start leaning forward now. Knee goes a little bit towards that knee. Important part, we want to keep these hips square. If we start leaning, that this hip goes behind us, there's a rotation we're getting on that lumbar spine, which we don't want, because then we're losing the pull on the front of that hip. So you want to feel like you're keeping those hips in a nice parallel, stable position as they move forward, so they don't twist side to side. Keeping the weight in front, opening up that left hip. Opening up that left hip, pulling and pull. Knees nice and heavy. If it's sore, put something under it. 3, 2, 1, and shift the weight back. Good. Right foot goes a little bit more ahead, and we press that hip forward, opening up that hip. Keep that weight ahead. Nice reach there, out of that hip. Weights forward towards the toes for 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the weight back. Good. Changing legs now. Right leg comes behind us. Left leg goes in front. Toes creeping a little bit ahead. Hands on top of that left thigh. And we push those hips forward. Now nothing gets to change. I want to see a lot of weight in the torso falling forward. Shoulders still stay above the hips. Try not to curve your back too much. As you do lean forward, you want to feel a bit of abdominals. Still holding on, keeping a bit of length out that lower back. We don't want to release there and we start popping out our ribs. Then we kind of lose our stretch because then that pelvis gets closer. You want to feel like you're pulling it through with those hips. Weight stays in front. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's move a bit of weight back. And just adjust that front foot once again. Creeping a little bit ahead. Keep that weight in front. Shoulders still staying nice and loose. Out that neck. Keep the weight in front. Nice and relaxed. For 4, 3, 2, 1. And bring that leg back. Good. Now staying in that position, we're going to start twisting our torso a little bit. Right palm goes up towards the ceiling. Close. Hands set on the floor. Right palm goes up towards the ceiling and slide under this armpit. Nice rotation. We get a bit of that twist stretch on the back. We did a lot of work with the back now. We want to just get a bit of that release through it in that twist. Getting that curve. Keeping the weight reaching away from that neck. 3, 2, 1. Let's drag that arm back. Same thing now. Left arm up and twisting under those ribs. Reaching that arm away. Keep that weight away from those arms, away from that shoulder, getting that rotation for 3, 2, 1, and drag that hand back. One more each way, right arm up, and twist, getting that rotation, keeping that twist for 4, 3, 2, 1, and drag that arm back. Last one, left arm up, and twist and rotate, keep that arm reaching away for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drag that arm back. Nice and relaxed. Good. Now we're going to work a bit through the arms now, but into those triceps. I want you to move those knees a little bit away. So move them from under the hips, they're going back behind us. Good. A little bit more, so you feel like you're not supported by your knees more. There's a bit of weight forward. Now we're going to start bending those elbows. So the weight stays forward. The knees aren't able to help us. I don't want to see the hips go back at all. A lot of weight on the hands. Keeping that pose there for 4, 3, 2, 1, then straighten those arms up. So the arms actually never take a break because most of our weight is on our wrists and our arms. And we bend those elbows in towards those ribs. Very good. 3, 2, 1, and straighten up. Now you see Tracy doing a fantastic job. This back hasn't changed at all. I'm not seeing these massive wings. I'm not pinching my neck together. My chin doesn't go up. It stays nicely in. Shoulder blades are nicely away. Feel like these are springs that are almost compressing, not going out to the sides like chicken wings. And let's bend those elbows in towards those ribs. Weight still staying forward. Keep that weight in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you press up triceps, we're working a bit of that torso as well, a bit of that pec. And let's bend those elbows down, keeping the weight in front, keeping the body weight cascading forward for 3, 2, 1, and pressing up. Let's do 3 more, and leaning forward, weight stays into those hands, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up, and last one, and bend those arms in, keeping the weight heavy, for 4, 3, 2, 1, and pressing up. So a lot of work on those triceps. We're going to get a bit more into the pecs now. Hand position is now being parallel to each other. We're going to turn so the fingertips are facing in towards each other. Now we want to try and get as much as we can there, so the rotation as much as your arms will allow. So if you can get there, great. If you can't, you can get up to there, that's also fine. We just want to feel like our elbows are going to go out to the side now. Now when our elbows go out to the side, there's a tendency to pinch those shoulder blades at the back. We don't want to have that. They're still open, so don't have to go all the way down, just enough that you can keep those shoulder blades still against the rib cage. And leaning forward, bend those elbows out to the side. Good. 2, 1, and extend, straightening up. A lot of work for those arms at first as we get through it. And bending out. Weight is still forward into the wrists. And extend up. Very good. And bend those elbows out to the side. And pressing up. Good work through those arms. And bending in. Don't let that spine collapse between those blades. And straightening up. Good work. And bend. And straighten, pushing up. Nice work. Let's do 4 more. And bending in. And extend. Last 3. And bending in. And extend up. Last 2. And bend. And straighten up. Very good. Get those arms back to parallel. Last position change of those arms. So now the fingertips are facing away from each other. You can open that palm or that stance a little bit wider with your arms so that your palms are, or your hands are wider than your shoulders. You don't want to have them tucked in under, then you're a bit confined, so do have them open. Almost like duck feet out of the arms. Now same thing, elbows are going to go out to the side. Don't get too deep in it because then you're going to start changing your shoulder position just far enough. Biceps have to work a little bit harder now to keep that stability, and let's bend those arms out and pressing up. Good. And bend, still keeping that weight forward. If you want a bit more, you move those knees even further back. Don't let that head get too heavy, and pressing up. And bend those arms in and pressing those arms out. So working into that bicep and that chest a bit, and bending in and pressing out. And bend those arms in and extend, arms reaching out. Very good. And bending in and extend. Good work. And bend pressing out. Last 4, bending nicely in and extend. Last 3 and bend and extend. Good. 2 left, bend and straighten. Last one, you're going to hold a little bit longer and we bend in. Keep it there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and straighten it on. Bring those hands under the shoulders once again. And we're going to stretch out those wrists a bit in that forearm. So right palm goes up towards the ceiling, but down towards us. Good. So the fingertips are facing towards the hip. Now you want to have that hand start in a position where the wrists are in line. So if we had it starting there, my wrists are in line. Now I literally flip and the wrists stay where they were. So don't move that arm forward so that it matches back. We want to keep that wrist. We're going to straighten this right arm. Now a lot of weight's going to stay in the forward for now. To stretch this out, you keep this arm straight and slowly and gradually move a bit of weight back, keeping this arm straight. You don't want to go too far, you don't want to hurt this joint here. So we're going to feel a bit of a pull at the front of that forearm and over that wrist, and we keep it at a 2-1, then move the weight forward just to give it a bit of relief. And again, shift the weight back and forward. Still keeping nothing activated in the shoulders, it's just in that forearm. Move the weight back and forward, nice and easy. Just stretching out that forearm, cooling it down and press the weight back a little bit. Nice and easy into it. And forward. Good. Last 3. And forward. Just stretching out those forearms a bit. Let's go 2 more. Nice and relaxed, heavy. Not too far, just to get that pull. Keep it at 2-1. And forward. And last one. And shifting the weight back a little bit. Keep that stretch out that forearm. 3, 2, 1. And moving forward. Place that hand back to normal. And let's go ahead, switching the other arm now. Palm is up, wrist on line. And placing a little bit of weight back, moving a bit of weight. Keeping the left arm straight so you can really feel that pull. And then moving forward. Placing a little bit of weight back. Not too much, you don't want to snap anything off. Keeping the weight back. And rocking a bit forward. Nice and smooth to it. And moving back. And forward. Nice work through the arms and pressing back and forward. Last 2 and rocking it a little bit back and forward. Last one. Still keeping the left arm straight, rocking a little bit back. Keep that stretch out that forearm. 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving forward. Hands back to normal. Hands reach in front, almost to the front of the mat. Quite extended a bit ahead of us. Going to start stretching out this back a little bit, shoulder blades as well. Press those hips back, a long extension out this one. Weight stays towards the feet. Feet can be any position, toes are again flat, whichever is more comfortable. 3, 2, 1. Shift the weight forward. Hands crawl a little bit more ahead. This will be our last one. And pressing those hips back. Keeping the weight back out that spine. Keep that long stretch. For 5. Forward in that shoulder blade, really glide over. 3, 2, 1, and shift the weight forward. Bring the hands under the shoulders, flatten the feet, and sit back into your rest position. Nice and relaxed, heavy head, arms loose. We're done now. You can stay in this position as long as you like. Do you feel like you're relaxing your body, just breathing through it. And we'll see you all next time.